Hello, what is going on, guys? Phoenix61 here with another World of Warships Legends video. So today, you'll see I'm already a little bit of ways into the game, alright? Alright, so we're in the Marlborough. It's one of my more favorite Tier 8 premium battleships, right? So we've got this guy loaded out with sort of a range, accuracy, and fire starter build, right? So and this is, for this map on this spawn side, I do kind of, sometimes I like to hide out behind this little chunk of land here on the left here, just to help with, avoiding torpedoes coming through the zone. And yes, we are absolutely going to shoot this gearing, or at least try to help. I think we're going to lose some bullets to the void land here, right? But so I want to do a little something different for this sort of episode, whatever you want to call it, right? So we do a lot of, just play a game, kind of go through strategy, what's going through my mind as I'm playing, and we talk about that. And then I do have, more recently, some of my better games from, our live streams. We'll just go in and grab those just so that the masses can watch those, right, if you weren't participating in the live streams. But here I'm kind of going to do these sort of like learning episodes, I guess, right? So like I'm gonna say, teach me, right? So here, and then what I want to get at here is the strategy that we're doing here. And I know a lot of folks will sort of complain about backing up battleships, right? But if I'm outgunned, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna lose. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose the ship, right? So like we know there's a gearing in there. Our destroyer took a bunch of hits, so he's really low on health. So I'm going to guess the second he gets spotted, he's going to be dead, right? That gearing's going to outgun him no matter what, right? So we're literally relying on, what is it? I think that's a Shimikaze on our team to get lucky with some torpedo shots, right? Yeah, because the gearing can outgun him, right? So I don't want to be too risky. Gearing does have torpedoes. Granted, it's a long reload time, but they are crazy good range, right? So we're being a little cautious here is kind of what I'm getting at, right? So Ohio, and then we're also a squishy boat, right? So Ohio, and what else was out there? Montana, like those guys got some heavy hitting AP shells, right? And we're in this sort of, glass fire shooter of a battleship that is some of these British battleships, right? So big hits from those guys could pretty much end you, right? So we're being cautious is basically what I'm getting at in the beginning here. But what I want you to pay attention to is kind of what unfolds in the next few minutes. So I won't play through this whole game because I have another example of a different scenario that I just kind of wanted to call out and highlight, right? Because a lot of times I have these games that are either short or overall kind of not entertaining, right? Especially with cruisers. I feel like I play a lot of cruiser games where we do well, but overall, it was just kind of boring game, right? So, yeah. Yes, we will shoot the gearing. One thing that I do like to call out and do like to give as a pro for this ship, some of these British battleships that I've done these sort of fire starter builds on, they're really great for shooting destroyers, right? And I think a lot of times the destroyers don't expect to take that big of a hit when the battleship is shooting at them, but I've almost always, most of the time, have HE loaded, right? So there's a perk there. And then with this one especially, you got 16 guns, right? So you got a lot of bullets. It's a spray and pray scenario, right? So yeah. So somebody finishes off the gearing, but we did lose our Shimikaze, right? So now is kind of the scenario that I'm getting at, right? So what's gonna happen here is we lose both our front turrets. Main turret destroyed. And on some days I'd be like, screw it, and I would just full forward and go in and say, take me. I lost half my guns. My boat is useless now. But we've got some backup. We've got a couple of battleships that are kind of able to support the zone, right? If you're looking at the minimap, I got 2 friendly battleships that can shoot into sea, right? And a lot of times, these types, Ohio's and Montana's, some of those ships that they know they've got you outgunned, they'll press in, right? Or they'll just press in because they think you're this lone ship out there, and people have a tendency to chase ships when they're, you know, shooting them, right? People have this tendency to like hyper focus on a ship. I'll be in a zone, capping a zone, and I notice that I'm getting overwhelmed, and I will just leave and run away and see how many ships I can drag with me, right? So people have a tendency to chase ships, and sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it's a bad strategy to do. So we knock out a kill there, started more fires, but of course he's dead now, right? But what I'm getting at here is we've kind of drawn some of these battleships into this zone, and you notice that Lepanto's still moving forward, right? And so now we're at a point where, you know, my team has shot at us a lot. You know, they obviously saturated my front guns with bullets to the point where they're dead now. And we've also got a range build into this too, right? So we can hit from far away. So I'm still valuable and useful even with only rear turrets. And since we've drawn these people in, now they're getting fire from 3 different directions, and they're coming through one at a time, right? Like they came through in a chain, and now they're dead, right? Like so, we'll cut the game off there, but that was just something that I wanted to highlight. Here, you know, we've got a winning game, but there was just a good scenario where I was like, you know what, I made the right call, but you know, it's like, who cares, right? But we'll talk about destroyer hunting, right? And I think it's a Shimakaze too, so everyone loves a good, you know, kill the Shimakaze experiment, right? But, yeah, so my team did fairly well here, and this is another thing too that I like to like kind of highlight and call out, right? Like, we've got 84,000 damage. We've started some fires in this game, but like, so nothing crazy exciting, right? So it's like, this was one of those games where I did good. My team won, you know, like, but it was like kind of boring, right? So we can see where their destroyer was last spotted up by C, and then we also can see some torpedoes in the water here too, right? So we know that destroyer's probably got some sort of line of sight on the B hole here, right in the middle. And I'm gonna imagine that our allied destroyer, once he's done capping this zone, he's gonna head that direction, right? So, but if you notice, we still have like literally all of our consumables. I still got sonar, heals, and secondary battery booster, right? Which a lot of times is useless on a lot of the, unless you're building into it, it's kind of useless for a cruiser, right? Because you don't have that much range typically. But yeah. So, and this is a scenario where I was like, you know what, like, we'll call this out as a nice, like, little teach moment, right? So if I was by myself and that destroyer, this Shimakaze here, wasn't in front of us, I would have my sonar going right now at this point, right? But I'm like, you know what, he's out in front, and this is kind of, you know, what a lot of people get at when they're like, okay, if you're a destroyer, you're supposed to be out in front so that you can torpedo screen, right? Basically, you can spot torpedoes for your allies behind you, and then that way, you know, battleships, cruisers, whatever's behind you has a better chance of dodging said torpedoes. So we got a Shimakaze player. Looks like he's got in the thousands of kills based on the number on his hull. Plays that ship a lot. And we're able to get hits because we're spotting him from, you know, our friendly destroyer spotting him, right? But you can see these torpedoes pop up, right? There's no way I would have seen those that early if our friendly destroyer wasn't there, right? So I saved the sonar, right, for that moment. And then our Shimakaze player, I think he goes down, right? So that zone is contested. You can see off to the left there, zone C shows contested. So we know that the enemy is in there, and we know that our friendly is in there, right? So we easily dodge these torpedoes, and we're going to try and just barrel towards that zone. The Germans have this, you know, typically their sonar has a little bit better range. Down in the bottom right, you can see 5.7, right? And I know the Shimakaze just fired too. So, you know, we just dodged his torpedoes. It was 3 racks at, you know, 15 torpedoes. So we know he's got at least about a minute or more, before he's got more torpedoes ready. And he's getting probably picked up from either firing his guns or he's too close to our friendly Shimakaze here, right? But now he's not spotted anymore, right? So now we're going to trip our sonar, and we pick him up because we have that 5.7 kilometer range, right? So just kind of general tips and trick with sonar and torpedo spotting and dealing with destroyers, right? So we're going to finish him off quite easily. If it's not us, it's going to be our friendly destroyer behind us. Boosh, he is dead. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time. Let me know if you like this type of video. We'll do some more in the future and see how they go.